You ready to get into some AEW?
So this is always my favorite part of the podcast. Yes, let's get into AEW, and let's start, Nathan, with what they are doing to Jay White. Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah.
What is this booking of Jay White?
Well,
what is going on?
I don't know if it was necessarily the booking of Jay White as it is. I think they had an idea. They just poorly executed it.
God.
Yeah. So he fought Billy Gunn on this show, Ryan.
He didn't just fight Billy. He got his ass kicked by Billy.
So the story is, they invade. It's another home invasion. We've had a lot of those lately.
Every story almost is.
Well, not just in AEW, WWE
Yeah.
too. There's been a lot of home invasions.
Yeah.
But so I guess if somebody's invading your home, you want to beat their ass. But when Billy Gunn was doing it, they made this. This is one of the things that AEW needs to change is they don't all their matches don't need to be 20-something minutes.
Yeah. Every match is long.
This definitely didn't need to be this long. I don't think it was 20. It was like 13, but it was still too long.
It was too long.
And Billy Gunn, the problem was, I don't know if Billy Gunn was like, he is 60 years old. But I don't know if he was just not feeling it today or what. But he was not showing the emotion.
No.
That needed. If it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
He broke into his home, so he's going to beat him down for a while, like the whole match basically.
Yeah.
But they were just really slow. They were walking their way around the crowd, and it was just not. It did not feel like what it should have felt like. And then Jay White, he definitely deserves better than that. But I don't think they're burying him. I think it was just a poorly executed.
Yeah, but to be just in a feud with Billy Gunn itself is.
Well, it's not just Billy Gunn though. It's
the whole group.
Acclaimed. It's just
the whole group's.
I don't know. And then the Acclaim come out, so they got beat up in the back. They were laid out in the back. So it was just going to be Billy Gunn out there. But then the Acclaim come running down at the end of, when they were about to, bash Billy's head in with a chair. They come running down like they were fine.
Yeah.
And they didn't sell
anything.
Yeah, that they were hurt. And then they just beat up Jay White again.
Yeah. This was poorly executed on all fronts from all wrestlers.
And I don't know. Maybe the Acclaimed are checked out too. You never know. Maybe they just want to be done.
Maybe.
Because.
Well, they had all the momentum in the world.
They had all the momentum. Now they're back to just.
They're 6-man champions, but they're never defend the titles. They're never on pay-per-views.
Yeah.
They're stuck on Collision or Dynamite. They never get to be on anything. And now they're in this feud with the ROH 6-man champions, and I don't think any of them I don't think anybody in the storyline wants to be doing this storyline right now.
Yeah.
I feel like they're all checked out of it, and they just don't want to be doing it because everybody. Billy Gunn shouldn't be a focus of a television show in 2024, but none of them should be in. They all deserve better.
Yeah.
Even Gunn twin brothers, they deserve better than what everybody in this feud deserves to be doing something better than what they're getting right now. It just frustrated me because it's Jay White, one of the most over bad guys in the history of New Japan.
Yeah.
And now this is what he's doing. It's just weird to me that he's fallen so far from and not necessarily he's fallen, but it's just the booking's been
you look at it, he lost to a one-legged MJF. He did have a title match, but he should have won because MJF had one leg.
Yeah.
And he lost to MJF. And then after that, he loses to 60-year-old Billy Gunn.
Yeah. He became a comedy gimmick for a second there.
Then he lost to who else? He lost to another person he shouldn't have lost to before Billy Gunn.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
And it's
crazy.
They definitely need to turn that around.
Yeah.
Also, there was a lot of people not on this show.
Yeah.
Because like I said, all these matches were so long, and there was only 5 matches, so. It was a lot of people were not here. We didn't have FTR, or we didn't have the Edge. Edge came out and talked, but Christian's nowhere to be seen no more.
I guess he's gone. Yeah, well, it's the typical that AEW booking where you lose the title and you're just not going to be on the show for a while. I guess.
No Takeshka. A lot of people weren't there. We had a Will Hobbs match. We had Will versus Will.
Yeah, we had the Battle of Wills.
Yeah. And it was a good match.
It was good, yeah. Will Ospreay.
I don't really understand this. I don't know why they haven't had Will Ospreay turn on what's his name, Don
Callis. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. He keeps having him. He's fought every Callous member now.
Yeah.
But he has not turned on him yet, which is weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they still have him in this heel group when he's clearly the most over babyface they got. So you have that, but it was a good match. That's the thing with AEW is their stories, matches, yeah. So the women's side, Ryan, on this episode was not great.
Oh,
boy. Willow is not good on the mic. Mercedes Moné did not wrestle again, of course. She's on the mic again. And then she announced on the show that she's going to fight the winner of Willow and
Julia
Hart at Double or Nothing, which is not till the end of May.
Yeah, that's their next pay-per-view.
Yeah, so she's not going to wrestle until May.
I just can't see the momentum still being there.
By then.
By May. We're in April. We have a whole month and then like the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot see the momentum for Mercedes still being a thing. Like, I don't see how people are going to care.
Yeah.
If she just does what she does every week, come out, say a promo for 5 minutes, and then does nothing else. And I'm assuming she's still injured or resting or something. But I just don't know how they're going to keep this momentum up. And for her to immediately come in and go after the TBS titles, I mean, I guess, but it's like,
yeah.
It doesn't make sense for her character to want that title.
Yeah.
In my eyes, she's the CEO. She's the money. Wouldn't she want the world title? Wouldn't she want to go after the main championship? Why does she want the TBS title? That doesn't...
It doesn't make sense. There should be some motivation behind that.
It was just she come out and goes, oh yeah, I got next.
And it's very weird. And then for the women's title, we had a number 1 contenders match between oh man, you gotta help me out with these names, Ryan.
Thunder Rosa and Mariah May.
Yeah, Mariah May.
Man.
I'm a little questioning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. You've been building Mariah May up this.
Mm-hmm.
She was undefeated. She had this thing where she's buddy with Toni Storm, so you could have had them, the friction of if she won, is she just gonna lay down for her or not?
Yeah.
But instead, no, we went with Thunder Rosa, who just came back. The crowd is with her.
Yeah, they're okay.
But I feel like the money match for a pay-per-view would have been Mariah May and Toni Storm just because of that. Is she going to lay down for her or not?
Yeah, it's a story.
It's a story.
They don't do stories.
And instead we get Thunder Rosa, which is going to be a decent match. But
yeah, but there's nothing behind it. It's the same thing that they've been doing. She came back. She teamed with Deanna, and now she's getting the shot. It's the same story from Deanna. It's just a continuation. They're not... Yeah, I was with you on that. I thought Mariah should have won this match just for the story element of, oh boy, because the crowd's really love Mariah. Mm-hmm. And that would have been a moment where the crowd's going to you could have face turned her. She wouldn't have won, but you could have had her turn on Toni and actually had a decent match and made her a star.
Yeah.
Instead, she's still lackey.
So, we've got this tag team tournament going on still.
Apparently. I don't know where we're at now.
The Young Bucks get a win here, Ryan, over the Best Friends to move to the finals. The only thing that happened out of that was after the match, Trent Beretta turned on Orange Cassidy.
Yep.
Now, this should have happened a long time ago. They've been building this tension off and on for a long time, and then now they're finally paying it off, but they haven't been building it for a while.
People forgot about it.
Exactly.
So now this heel turn feels like out of nowhere.
And I'm okay with it out of nowhere, but at the same time, it's better whenever you're feeling it.
Yeah.
And now it just feels like it feels not just out of nowhere, but it just feels random. It feels
there's no heat behind it. There's no
emotion.
No emotion from the crowd. It was just one of those, oh, okay. But if it would have done it when they were building it.
And it didn't look like Chuck Taylor really gave a crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he didn't even, I don't know. Either he's not a good actor at all, or he just fell asleep. I'm not sure what happened, but his facial expression was nothing.
Yeah.
And that didn't help. And then you had Trent Beretta's mom out there and friggin'...
When she's more over than some of the wrestlers, it's gotta
I know.
Problem.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna get that graphic of Sue's All Elite.
Yeah.
It may have already happened. I didn't know.
Probably, honestly.
I mean, when -1's All Elite, you never know.
Yeah.
He's a little kid. And he's negative. He's All Elite. So.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Penta's gonna challenge Copeland on, I guess, Collision for the TNT title.
Yeah, let's talk about Copeland real quick.
Yeah.
He had a promo at the beginning of this show.
Really felt like it was we got to respond some way to the allegations. Yeah. So.
And, he's basically just saying, that this is where the real wrestlers are and the wrestlers, the best wrestlers in the world, and that's why I came here.
That's why
was to wrestle
yeah.
all the best wrestlers. Which kind of almost confirmed CM Punk a little bit, because CM Punk said when Ariel Helwani asked CM Punk, well, then what do you think what are they doing if they're not trying to sell? And he goes, I guess they're just trying to have good matches.
Yeah.
And whenever
it kind of confirms it when Copeland said, I came here to wrestle.
Yeah. So, but it was. I don't think they should have responded at all.
No,
honestly.
you should have just business as usual. You don't need to respond.
But I think that's what Tony Khan is, though, is because he's a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing, back in the day, we all, as fans, were like, oh, we could book this better than WWE. We could book this better than TNA.
We've all fantasy booked so much.
And I think we're starting to realize that just because we're fans and we like certain things, and we probably could book some things, but to have a whole show and to have a company where you have to manage talent and all this other stuff, I think it's starting to show that wrestling fans are not made to be businessmen, and they're not made to be bookers. And he was a wrestling fan. He was on the message boards back in the 90s.
He was at ECW shows.
And so he's one of those guys where if you talk about his wrestling, then he's going to respond. Instead of just being quiet like a business person.
Yeah.
Which Triple H did take some shots too, so I can't say that.
Yes. But the thing is, though, I know I'm going to sound like a WWE apologist. Like, I want AEW to succeed. But the WWE shots, you don't know if they're actually talking about AEW or anyone.
Yeah.
Like, Triple H's, when he said, was just, he could have been talking about indie wrestling as a whole. Like, hey, they don't want to come here because they don't work our schedule. Well, that could be Impact. That could be any other company in the world. But when AEW does it, you know who they're talking about. Like, they're not trying to hide that they're talking about WWE. But, yeah, we're learning. And I've said it before, and I'll say it. I'll keep saying it till it happens. He needs to take a back seat. Tony Khan needs to hire one person or a committee of people to book these shows, and he just needs to be the one kind of overseeing it.
Well, that's some wrestling news, AEW news that we can get into, is they did their first releases.
Oh, yeah, there's some drama here, too.
Well, they weren't fired, they were just released. And he said that he wouldn't do that. He said that you were going to be under contract till your contract was up, and then if he didn't want you, he would let you go that way, like he just wouldn't renew your contract.
Yeah.
But he was like, if you're here for a 3-year deal, you're going to be here for the whole 3 years.
Yep.
But now they release people, but as you said, this is what brought this to my attention, is you said he needed to hire some people. Well, he did hire a guy to be the COO, and now we're getting these cuts.
Yeah.
And so I think that's that COO saying, hey, look, we're going to trim the fat. These are wrestlers that barely wrestle, or
I didn't even know some of the names.
Well, they got rid of
a lot of them are.
They got rid of the boys. They got rid of the boys, so what's that guy's name?
Dalton Castle.
Dalton Castle doesn't have his boys no more.
He didn't have them anyway, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently Johnny Mundo or Johnny, what's his name now? Johnny Elite.
Yeah.
He apparently had control, or so. I don't follow ROH.
So they got rid of the boys. They got rid of Slim J.
He was still there, apparently, which was something, because I learned that.
He was on Ring of Honor.
I learned that he was still under contract with AEW.
There's a lot of those guys that are on Ring of Honor, and that's where that's. I think that's what this guy's saying. Is like, we're not using them, and so we're. And, I mean, he got rid of the guy that was with Andrade, his assistant. Which I don't know how he wasn't released whenever Andrade was released, because that's all he did was he was Andrade's assistant.
Parker Boudreaux was release as well.
Who never did anything.
The funny thing about Parker, it's not funny someone loses their job, but he literally did an interview the day before in Mexico talking about, oh, I'm still under contract with AEW, it's my home. And then he's released the next day.
Yeah.
No big loss there. I mean, honestly, Parker, he could have been something amazing in this business if he would have learned that it's not a video game and you don't need to emote after every single thing you do.
Yeah.
Like, he might go down as one of the biggest, like, busts ever. Because, I mean, it was more the internet's fault. They hyped him up to be this great thing, and no one seen him step foot in the ring.
Yeah.
Then he stepped foot in the ring, and everyone's like, oh.
So yeah, that was the first round of releases. I think there's going to be more changes coming with this guy. He's also in charge of their live events because they're going to start doing more live events.
Maybe he can get these guys motivated to do live events. They stopped doing them because no one did them.
Yeah, and then he's also in charge of you got to make them. You're the boss.
Yeah, tell him.
And then he's also in charge of their marketing and branding and stuff. So yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of changes.
I hope we do.
But it's not booking. So we still need to see some changes there. So,
but just to talk about that a little bit, the boys release, they have come out and said that they were told it was budget cut release. That is not the statement that Tony Khan said. That is not what AEW's official statement were for. They weren't for budget cuts. But they were told that they were called because of budget cuts. But they think there was a miscommunication. It's a whole thing. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. But apparently they missed a flight because AEW told them to go to a different airport than they usually go to. There's one right next to their house, and they told them to go drive like 40 minutes or like 2 hours away. And they were like, why should we go there when there's an airport here? And so they missed their flight, and then they told them you're not needed. And they're like, but we're still here. And they told them yes, and then they found out they were released. So a little controversy there. It sounds like just poor communication from the top to the bottom.
Which is always the case.
Yeah, so they need to work on that because Christopher Daniels is in charge of talent relations, yeah. I think.
Here's the thing.
I don't know.
You got to quit having wrestlers being in positions like that.
Yep.
Because, Christopher Daniels is definitely on his way out. But he's still in the wrestling frame of mind.
And he still has...
And, wrestlers can be bookers. Wrestlers can do certain wrestling things. But talent relations...
What does he have experience in?
Exactly.
And that's the problem. A lot of these people were given jobs that they've never done before. Like, who was it? QT Marshall had like 4 jobs, and he'd never done any of them before.
Yeah.
And they got some communication issues. I bet Tony Khan probably didn't even know they were released until after it happened.
Yeah, it's just too much.
There's so much going on in that. Wrestling has become a point where you can't have a one-man team anymore. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, one guy could do everything. Now, with as big as wrestling is on TV contracts and social media, you got to have a team around you of people. One person can't book a whole show anymore.
Right.
It's impossible. Every other company has a booking committee. Writers, they have people. Mm-hmm. Tony Khan's trying to write, book, do all this on his own, and so hopefully we see some changes down the line. We already are, but hopefully we see some booking changes made, and because like I said, I want AEW to succeed. I want these people who are there that I'm fans of to have a place to wrestle, but it gets harder and harder to watch this show when some of it doesn't matter. It's just
agreed.
It's hard to follow it because WWE's on fire with their booking, and then you go watch AEW. I mean, if you're a fan of matches, hell yeah, AEW's the place to go. They're having kick-ass matches every week, but I'm more of a story guy, and for me, the stories in AEW are just lacking, and it's hard to watch their show when these stories come out of nowhere, or they stop a story, start a story, stop a story. People will be on the show for a month, disappear for 3 months. It's really hard to follow.
Agreed. And I think, let's see, what else is happening in the world of AEW, Ryan? Do you think MJF's going to come back at Dynasty?
Look, that's the name of his former group.
Yeah.
It seems kind of on the nose.
Yeah.
That he would come back.
Now, okay, so they don't really usually do these themed pay-per-views where they're named after something like that. Like if that's what it's named after.
It may not be too. I don't know.
So let's say he does come back and it kind of was named after that. Do you think it's a pay-per-view that's going to be there next year, or is it going to be one that they can just rename next year? You know?
Yeah. Well, all of these, like, are they going to still have World's End next year?
I think so.
Or is it like, I don't know if this is
so.
gonna. Yeah, like I Dynasty's not a really good wrestling name to me, pay-per-view name.
No. I don't really understand it.
I don't know what it means.
Dynasty's usually like a team or an empire that's been around for a while or something. It's not. I don't know what they're. What are they saying when they say dynasty?
Yeah, and
what is the dynasty?
Yeah, is AEW the dynasty? Because they've been around for 5 years. I don't really know if you consider them a dynasty. I don't know. It's a cool name. I like the name Dynasty, but you think Dynasty, you think of like the Lakers.
Yeah.
And the Celtics or something. And yeah, so the name's weird. I don't know if it's going to be a one-off. They could keep it around, I guess, every year. I mean, they're going to have more pay-per-views now, so.
Yep, they're going to make their way towards 12.
Yeah. So I really hope they get on a streaming service because, I mean, they're on Triller now for the pay-per-views, which is less expensive, I think.
Right.
But still paying for every pay-per-view is going to be a lot when you got WWE pay-per-views on a network where you can spend $5 and get their show. So,
yeah,
I don't know. To me, I think MJF's coming back. I feel like he re-signed and they never said anything. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Thank you so much for listening to this AEW Speaks video this week right here on YouTube. If you would like to listen to the full podcast in full, you can go over to Spotify, find Squared Circle Speak. You can listen to the full podcast. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below. It really helps our channel. We appreciate you. As always, thank you. We'll see you in the next one. Be a smart mark.